We're in it. We're live.
Wow, we're back. And this bracket is in honor of no one.
Fuck.
Yeah, I got real tired of honoring people. Real tired real quick.
So we're... What are we doing? What the heck? Hello and welcome back. We're the Tough Cut Podcast. And I'm Matthew.
I'm Alex.
Tough boy Jakers.
Whoa, Jake's a tough boy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is episode 106, part one of our alien bracket. We're talking about
aliens.
We're talking about extraterrestrials.
But not about E.T. I'm so glad no one pitched that.
Me too. I hate E.T. Wow, it's crazy. This is the first episode of a bracket, so I have a job today. What's up with that? Freelance boy. Jake is the freelancer in this podcast, but I have a job today.
Yeah. Currently unemployed.
Hey,
Whoa.
that's a pitch. Anyone looking for a sick dude to do some work? That's Jake.
I hope
Reach
this
out.
lands me a job in 10 years.
That
By
said,
then the
this
podcast
is
is... Go ahead, no.
no, Matt. Matt, make a joke. We're
I was
in
going to
the
say
joke
the
business.
podcast is so massive that the podcast is his job, and Jake leaves the show to, do menial labor or something.
Yeah, I'm going to go work at a factory.
He's just like got a detox from all this entertainment stuff. It's time for me to touch some grass, get back to my roots.
Honestly,
Jake, yeah.
This is the alien bracket. I'm doing my job now. This is the alien bracket. We picked movies that have aliens in them.
Nice.
Sure
I'm going to
did.
do
Sweet.
my job, which is go back to our tangent before. I've always romanticized doing Firewatch for going to like a national forest,
just
like going
living
up there and just living there. But I found out recently there was a recent thing where you can't do it full time. You go home. What's the point in that?
That's
You work like
dumb
a
as
9 to
hell.
5. Or do the fires stop at 2 a.m.? Fuck off. Like,
Well, they probably
What
have a
if
night
you-
shift guy.
yeah, I know, but like, I don't want
Okay, but-
that.
But Jake, concept: you work for the time that you're fire watching, and then the other half of the time when it's not your shift, you just chill in the woods.
You just start
Yeah.
fires.
You just
I'd
don't
rather
leave.
get paid for chilling in the woods, though. I don't know how connected to nature I am. But that's what I'm
Anyway.
trying to do. Oh, also, spoiler warning: we're going to be spoiling the movies that we talk about. That was my actual job. We're spoiling these movies. These are some really fun movies. We have some movies in this bracket that have really good twists in them, some unanswered stuff in them. So
Ooh.
very, very
Question.
fun. Yeah, baby.
No, I said question.
He was saying there are questions in the film.
Oh,
That was so sweet of you, though, Jake.
Yeah, it was so
of
nice.
course. I just
See,
wanted to
he's
make sure.
respectful. He listens.
This is what tough boy Jake is.
Yeah. So coming at you in the episode, which I realize we only announced at the end of last episode, and you don't know what's coming your way if you just clicked on this one randomly. We've got The Fifth Element versus Alien, and then Arrival versus Predator. So it should be lots of fun matchups. Alex, do you want to go ahead and introduce The Fifth Element?
I pitched The Fifth Element. That's crazy, guys.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I gave it to you because I'm a
doing that.
kind-hearted man.
That's crazy. I was not ready to talk about this movie, but I'll do it.
Thank you.
The hatred seething in Matthew's body.
The Fifth Element, released in 1997 on May 9th. That was a little couple of days after my birthday, directed by Luc Besson. This movie stars Bruce Willis, and he meets an alien lady, and they go to save the world from an evil entity, and also Gary Oldman.
Yeah, that's true.
There are lots of aliens in this one.
Mm-hmm. So but how did we used to do this before?
I truly don't remember.
Why you picked it because there's lots of aliens, and then we share our initial reactions.
Yeah. So I picked this movie because I remember it being kind of wacky and weird, but really liking it, and I remember there being aliens in it.
Damn. Okay.
Jake, what was your
what did you
experience?
think? Sorry.
I love this movie. I was originally going to pick this movie. My reasoning behind that is because I think it's like a really, really great alien sci-fi. I think the aliens are very fun. And I think I wanted to, get something on the plane. At least when I was initially going to pitch this, I wanted to get something that broadcast a bunch of aliens, not just like just a single alien type, but I wanted to show a movie that like did it right. Because there's plenty of movies that do it so wrong. I'm looking at you, Valerian. Jesus Christ, that movie was so bad. But yeah, I think this is a very, very fun movie, and it was a staple growing up in the Jake household for like little kids, which, love it or hate that. It was fun.
Interesting. Matt, what do you think about this one?
So maybe surprisingly, this was my first time seeing this movie.
Wow.
Wait, really? That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. Which is wild.
What'd you think?
That actually pisses me off. No, I'm kidding. That's tough.
Tough Jake gets mad when things don't go his way.
That's on me.
As one of the resident sci-fi guys, which I think I last talked about in episode 4 of the show.
Yeah, you do not like sci-fi actually, but
I mean I do. But I like reading sci-fi mostly, which is an odd intersection.
Like the Bible? I'm kidding. That was
wow. Good.
No, that's my favorite fanfic.
That's great.
Yeah, your favorite fanfic. Nice.
So, this movie is so campy, very, very goofy. However, I kind of bounced off it a little bit.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. It like feels like a movie I should really, really like. But it just like, I think it's one that after seeing it, I think about it and I'm like, those were fun moments. But like the experience of watching it, I just bounced off it a little bit. Yeah. But that's okay. It happens sometimes.
That's brutal because I know for a fact a lot of this movie is nostalgia for me because I watched it like a lot as a kid. And I think some of the performances are really good. Like the comedic performance of Chris Tucker is very good.
Ruby Road.
That's like Ruby Rod is like what Rod because Rod.
Thank you.
The opera scene, like a lot of it's like really good. The reason I brought up Valerian is because he also directed that. It was his return.
Whoa.
It was his return to doing the sci-fi stuff. He did Lucy as well with Scarlett Johansson. So not the best track record, but like this one for some reason like stayed in my head and I really liked it. But damn, it bounced off. I mean, we'll talk about it more, but that's very interesting.
Yeah, it's just kind of what happened. Either way though. Thank you, Alex.
Matt, what's it going up against?
It is going up against Alien, released in 1979, directed by Ridley Scott. In space, no one can hear you scream. The film's a very, very famous tagline.
It's a great tag.
A commercial/industrial ship, the Nostromo, intercepts a distress signal from a faraway planet, and they're basically required to go check it out. To which they find a weird, spooky giant guy, and he's very dead, and they take his belongings, which just so happen to include an egg.
Wow, the way that you describe that is absolutely ridiculous.
Anytime you get to talk about eggs on the podcast, it's a big win. So we're doing good.
Egg. Yeah, so inside that weird H.R. Geiger-esque spaceship, they take an egg, and then very bad things happen. It's the no good, terrible, very bad day for the crew of the Nostromo.
Which is what this film is based on, yes.
Amelia Bedelia. So that egg it goes in, it is a face hugger, and then it lays a baby inside, and then the chest bursts, and then becomes a full xenomorph. We get to see an entire life cycle.
It could have been. I mean, that's obviously this is an old movie, but damn, that's precisely what happens. You're absolutely
okay. But
right.
Also, here's my thing: the way that you described that was so sweet and gentle. Like it hugs your face, and then it puts a baby in you, and then it bursts out of your chest, and it's like
that's like I feel like describing alien sex to say, like when a mommy and a daddy alien love each other very much.
But I feel like until you said the burst out of your chest, I feel like it could have been like an okay story, like there's a world where like you just have an alien baby and then you have to go on and raise it as your own, right? Like that's okay.
But then
it
body types, we don't
violently
know.
explodes out your chest.
We don't know their body types. It could be that that's the natural. If you described to an alien how we reproduce, a baby comes exploding out of your vagina, that probably doesn't sound good either.
Well, okay, and here's my thing. Is it better just because it's not an existing whole? Right? Like, is that really better?
I don't like the phrase existing whole for some reason.
Here's my other question. Is it ever discussed in this movie that the crew of the Nostromo are humans from Earth? Like, is that actually stated, or is that just assumed because they look like people? Because maybe that's how they reproduce as things burst out of their chest, and it's not the xenomorph's fault.
But they seem kind of surprised about it.
I would love that headcanon.
That's a good
but
point.
I do think in the world they are from Earth. Like it is.
I believe Mother says it at some point. Yeah, I think Mother says it. Which is the ship computer. His mother.
But a good headcanon. A good headcanon, nevertheless.
So
like a chest cannon.
Why did I pick this movie? It's just such a classic in my mind. It is a definitive piece of horror sci-fi. It gets so much right. It becomes a blueprint for so much in the genre. I believe during development affectionately called or tried to be a Texas Chainsaw Massacre in space, which you can see there's lots of that like in its DNA.
Lots of chainsaws.
Yeah. And then we get to see
in
like the beautiful
DNA.
We get to see the beautiful little life cycle of just this little guy.
This little alien butterfly.
Yeah, we get to see him from birth to presumed death, and that's really fun. And we get to see the Promethean in his giant chair in his H.R. Geiger room, and that's kind of fun too. But that's a question that people are never going to know the answer to until 30 years later when they made a sequel movie series about it, and it got kind of funky. Anyway,
I kind of liked Prometheus and Covenant, but that's
okay. Look, we can't get into it now, but I am a noted Prometheus enjoyer.
Okay, cool. Wait, okay, that's awesome that we're both because we know the people who
I
hate
accept the faults, but anyway,
Prometheus
sorry.
School of running away from things is still my favorite concept in the world. But
as far as your guys' take on this, Jake, what'd you feel about this one?
Yeah, this one just bounced right off me. No, so I couldn't resist. I fucking love this movie. Mixing because this is a horror movie as well. Like it's like strict horror sci-fi, which if you know Jakers, especially tough guy Jakers, love some horror sci-fi. So this was another staple, but instead of like family staple, this was like my brother and I staple. We love the Alien movies and the Predator movies, which we'll talk about later on. But this is just, there's something sexy about the xenomorphs. There's something really appealing about, and I do mean it. I mean it both in a metaphorical sense, but I do actually mean it in a physical sense.
Yeah.
And
audience, the wild part about that is I literally had this conversation 3 weeks ago with Jake where he's like, yeah, I'd probably fuck the xenomorph.
I told you that in confidence.
Dude, you were admitting to it right now.
I said they were sexy. I didn't say it would. No, that's fair. I would. Would. Look, here's the thing. There's something alluring about it. Sigourney Weaver is a hell of a protagonist. Like one of my favorite
Last girl
protagonists.
In space.
To be a final girl in space, action hero star. Like it's fucking awesome. Like I love how they approach this movie with the prosthetics. I love the care that went into the world building. The fact that you could make it, again, in my opinion, a successful sequel 30 years or whatever in the future and expand on the world without it actually having to rely on these other things is really, really cool. I just love the language of this film. It's just very, very good. Very strong pick. We're doing the Alien bracket. We had to have Alien in it,
Yeah. What about you, Alex? What do you think of this one?
So I had never seen this movie before, which may or may not be surprising.
Whoa.
No, it's spooky. It would go
spooky,
away from.
And it really bounced off him.
Well, okay. So here's my thing. I really liked it, but I think, and this is kind of weird, it's such a classic, right? Like, obviously, so many movies reference it and pull from it and are like inspired by it that I like knew everything that was going to happen, but hadn't seen it, if that makes sense. And so it was like, it kind of felt like I was watching it because I had to, if that makes sense. And I couldn't like sit and enjoy it as much. If it in a weird way, like it was good and I enjoyed it, but I feel like I felt robbed watching it because I wasn't able to enjoy it, I think, as much as I would have had I been completely blind going in, if that makes sense.
No, that's fair.
I can see the argument of like, those movies that like at this point, if you watch them, it's just like, well, whatever. Like, you have your like The Sixth Sense, I feel like is a big one for a lot of people.
Yeah.
This movie's like, kind of to get through.
That said, it was really good. It's just, I feel like I wish I had had a better time with it.
Well, that's why if you ever have kids, show it to them when they're like 2 years old.
Oh, great idea.
It is, honestly.
No, here's what I should do.
At the end, when the little xenomorph's just laying on the shelf,
I should just show them a little bit.
That's funny as hell.
Just show them a little bit of the movie as they get older, according to the life cycle of the xenomorph. So when they're a little baby, I just show them this is a video of your birth, and it's the little hugger on the guy's face, and then bursting out the chest. And then when they're like 3, I show the little baby xenomorph running around the ship.
Hilarious. Playing with a cat. Puppet. Yeah, playing with a Yeah, so what happens when your child reaches the end of their life? And again, the predetermined...
in high school, I show them the rest of the movie, and when they go off to college, it's Sigourney Weaver blasting it into space.
And then you kill your child.
And then my child is dead to me, and I never speak to them again because they left me.
Yeah. Okay.
Aww. So jumping right into it, the big question on the minds, we got aliens. What those aliens be doing? How do we like it?
I want to talk first especially with these alien movies. I think what makes a good alien movie, I think for all of what we picked, I'm just going to double check real quick. Yeah, most of these are going to be like, in my opinion, the better form of making alien, like their prosthetics or like their costumes, like you are imagining this
how believable are those aliens
and how believable the aliens are. Yes, there are CG aliens that exist as well, and you could do them really well, and we'll have that on the other side of our bracket in like kind of like a minimalist setting. But there something about, especially back then, like the height of like this inventive sci-fi, this genre's trying to burst out of the seams.
Burst out of the chest, if you will.
Burst out of the chest, if you will. The xenomorphs are very, very fun. Every single like behind the scenes, the documentary about this movie is insane. Watching the behind the scenes stuff about it. And for me, The Fifth Element, like the makeup they did with the opera singer is again one that sticks out. Those silly little guards, those silly little like the like little soldiers that are everywhere,
little goons that just exist to get shot dead.
But like something about a good goon really
they're very good goons,
and they're very good goons. Like it's like
I will give The Fifth Element that they're alien goons. They are like campy top 5 alien goon to get shot by the protagonist.
They're like, so they have such personality, like it's genuinely so like it's I can't get over how fun, and they also have to use those prosthetics, like they're putting those people in makeup, like it's a lot of work.
I will say for Fifth Element, the like big guys, the metal guys, the fact that the conceit of the plot is they move not the conceit of the plot, but the plot gets kicked off because one of them is so slow he gets crushed by some walls that are moving very slowly. It is so funny.
Pretty great.
This movie slaps.
I lost my shit in like the first 10 minutes because I'm like they're like yelling at the slow shambling guy in the hallway as he's about to be imminently crushed, and he's like throwing the priest the key, and I'm like, are you joking? the whole like plot gets kicked off
Like-
because these guys are waddling like they're giant penguins.
Yeah, the waddle is like phenomenal.
You know what though?
And
That's good alien design. Not all aliens are built for all things.
True, they should have made that hallway wider. Why did they hide the fifth element in the room where the hallway was so small? Those big guys never stood a chance.
Very, very, very good. Okay, so you have go for it.
No, I was going to say sorry to derail your prosthetics and very productive conversation to call out the big metal guys.
No, but that's also, I mean, look, it's part of it. But
They're
a
aliens.
lot of so these two movies, they do still focus a lot on their human counterparts. And in The Fifth Element, a lot of the human counterparts are also kind of like alien. Like they have like a realm about them that like their personality really sticks out. We already mentioned Ruby Rod. We mentioned like fucking Mia Jovovich character, like Zorg, like Gary Oldman,
Lilu.
like Lilu. Yeah, they're all weirdos, man. Bruce Willis is the only kind of not weirdo, but it's still like they're all surrounded by weirdos, and I think that elevates the alienness of it a lot. Where in Alien, they're just some space like astronauts trying to survive, and it's like classic horror setting. Besides Sigourney, who's like this like kick-ass, action.
That's
star.
part of like almost what I love about the world building that Alien does. It's something I respect about the world building in both these films, but like the mundane nature of the characters in Alien in part is contributing to the like verisimilitude of the world. Like these are just people trying to do their goddamn job. Like this is what living in a space age world is like. You end up, the vast majority of people end up working on like a commercial industrial ship and just kind of have to like transport stuff around. Like that is the capitalist hellscape,
Well,
and go ahead.
I was gonna say what's interesting about it is that it does a lot of work to like establish this is the world building, right? But it also is like a good excuse to not need to like push this is the future, there are aliens kind of thing, right? Like they keep it as mundane as possible so that way the xenomorph is terrifying, right? Because if there were like a bunch of weird aliens on the ship already, it would be much less scary to suddenly have a sexy black one on the ship.
Yeah, the again, like to this idea of like the contrast to the mundanity. Like the xenomorph is supposed to be frightening because like the nature of the world that's been set up, even as far as like seeing that H.R. Geiger spaceship that the Promethean is in where they find the eggs, it is so otherworldly and different compared to the industrial ship that they're on at first that like as an audience member, you immediately know something's off about this, which I think is just really great. Whereas Fifth Element, it is part of their world building for like aliens of all sorts have become normalized in some sense. Like it is like a very wacky version of our world in the distant or near distant future, which I think is part of the angle of like aliens are just normal stuff,
And it's interesting because they go in the different directions. What's even more interesting is that in Alien, like the xenomorph is the main antagonist. Like it is the force of nature that is like preying upon these people. Where in the Fifth Element, it's kind of Gary Oldman is the antagonist. There's like like the puppet pulling the strings, like big entity that makes Gary Oldman bleed and is scary. And other opposing, you got the goons and such, but like it's really Gary Oldman. So I think that Alien gets a notch up in that comparison because we get to spend time with our antagonists, literally watching them grow throughout like the film. And so it's like it's kind of like it's impressive the feat that the xenomorph does as an alien and what it functions as an alien movie. But I will give credit to the Fifth Element to like putting an alien movie, and not all aliens are like just bad people. Like the opera singer is a really good, I thought, of like seeing aliens and being like, oh yeah, of course there would be like a singing, like entertainment, like stuff. Like if aliens all spreading, the world space travel exists and all that. They'd be working at a space cruise and just doing regular shit. So it's two different approaches to the alien, but I think the movie Alien with the xenomorph just gets a little bit extra of a tick because like it is one of the main antagonists.
Well, I also go for it, Alex.
No, you go. I
was going to say, I think that there is so much intentionality around the xenomorph. Like there was very careful planning in terms of what its cycles of life would be, what this creature is supposed to be like. And of course, a lot of this lore and additional information comes from the sequels. But it is like pretty well thought out. Whereas I think on some level, Fifth Element is like chiefly just trying to have a good time. And it's, I think that campy energy that it brings to it, they're maybe not as intentionally thinking about their aliens, but I do really appreciate the like grab bag approach of like, there's just guys around, you know, you got little goons, you got the big slow guys, the Mondo Sean or whatever. You got the opera singer who, you know, that we just accept that as being regular, I guess, you know, to your point on, she just works on the cruise ship, you know?
And
I think, you know, the elements inside her body, but that's neither here nor there.
But at the end of the day, don't we all? And that crewman in Alien had the xenomorph inside him. So really, don't we all?
Got that dog in us, you know?
We got a dog in us, and maybe it's the elements, and maybe it's the xenomorph, but we'll never tell.
Yeah,
honestly, more alike than you would think, I guess.
Yeah,
it's true. We do get stomach bursting in both these movies, which is kind of insane, you know?
We got a lot of stomach bursting across all these.
Yeah, something about the stomach, man.
Yeah, it's just so ripe for Alien action.
I don't like that.
What were you going to say earlier, Alex?
I was just going to say that I like how in the Fifth Element, well, okay, in Alien movies in general, I feel like part of what we have to define, because for me, part of what makes a good Alien movie is the way that it makes me reflect on humanity, right? Like, it's the contrast that, to me, like, makes it stand out, which, I mean, you definitely get in Alien, right? Like, I think part of the point of the movie is to, like, think about that alien world and what this alien means. But I feel like you, by the nature of the movie of, like, having aliens be mundane, it is more of a like vehicle to think about humanity in that way, I guess, if that makes sense.
What do you, could you just expand on that a little bit? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think like if in that world, if aliens are mundane, then it expands the way you think about humanity. Like having Gary Oldman be like the face of the villain rather than like just some, you know, random alien body, right? Like it humanizes the like plight of the movie. The theming at the end where Lilu is like, is humanity worth saving? Like, look at what humanity has done.
And
right?
She's like, but love.
And then, yeah, Bruce Willis gives her a big old smoocho, and it's like, I could save humanity and get kisses. Done. You know?
Easy.
That's.
But when I tell you guys now after a night out drinking, you call me stupid. Whatever.
Yeah, so sci-fi guy. One of the most cornerstone aspects of like classical science fiction and some modern science fiction is this idea of using science fiction as a vehicle for like philosophical content in one way or another, for political prognostication, for saying how the world ought to be or how we ought to think about a question. And I do think there is some of that in both of these. Sort of despite its campy nature. This guy's got a skeleton. Despite its campy nature, I do think that the Fifth Element has some things to say. Capturing exactly what those are is a little bit tough.
They're big antsy, like big organization, like, you know. Like
that's true.
That's pretty
Zorg. What is it? Zorg Enterprises. He's like a
Zorg
CEO.
Enterprises, and same with Alien. Like it's like both of those are very anti. They're big establishments that take over their worlds. That's a big trope in just all of sci-fi. It feels like there's always some big corporation, and the movies always feel like, hey, how about the fuck not?
How about we pay some attention to the fact that we give so much power to the corporate enterprise that literally lives are a commodity. It's like, oh, my whole crew is going to die on my little industrial spaceship. Oh, well, I want to get that slimy little egg.
And there's some like element of survival too, or just humanity survival, like on a broader scope with Fifth Element, because it's like world ending, whatever thing. But then the intimacy of aliens, like what is driving Sigourney Weaver to survive? Like all these things, like what and in any horror movie, this is getting into sci-fi and horror, but like what is driving this person to survive against such horrific means, against an entity that literally, it's not about reason, it's not about, you are prey, you cannot talk to this creature. We're not going to
There's
talk
no
about
reasoning
Alien
your way
v
out of it.
Predator.
Well,
but
okay. Did you try?
That's true.
she did. It was a deleted scene. Yeah, and that would have made the scene NC-17, so they couldn't sell it to theaters.
Yeah, and then I can't believe the xenomorph went right back to fighting after it too.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so like, go for it. I think we're coming up on time. Is all I was gonna call out.
That's what I was gonna say. Is that we've made some good.
I'd be ready to vote here. This was a good conversation. I think it's a good. I think this matchup set a bar for us about how we're talking about our aliens and like kind of what each of us are looking for. And I think it's a good bar to set. So let's vote. I'm ready. Are you guys ready?
Yeah. If you're so ready, Jake, you should start.
Okay, cool. I'm a vote for Alien.
Oh, snap. He said
I did it.
Oh, snap. He said
snap. Well, I can go next. I'm also going to vote for Alien here. It's a great movie. It's really good.
Yeah, seeing as I can't vote for exclusively the scene where the Mondo Sean gets crushed to death, I'm going to vote for Alien as a full package.
You could have, actually. That was your one chance. You could have.
Yeah, too bad. No takesy backsies.
No takesy
Yeah, so
backsies.
with that, Alien advances, and we've got another matchup here. Jake, do you want to go ahead and introduce Predator?
I really, really do. I chose the OG Predator in 1987, directed by John McTiernan, which total made up name. When I read it, I thought it was John McTierman, and I thought it was like a YouTube channel of someone being like, here are the tier lists of like what's going on. And he couldn't come up with a good name, so it was like John McTierman. Yeah, this movie is about Arnold Schwarzenegger. His name is Dutch in the movie.
Full stop.
But Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's a soldier hired by the U.S. government to secretly rescue a group of politicians trapped in Guatemala. But when Dutch and his team, which includes, Jesse Ventura's in it, Carl Weathers, it's CIA, it's all these big, like, weapons expert people. When they land there, something is amiss. It's bad. And they find string of dead bodies, and the crew discovers they are actually being hunted by a creature who thrives off the hunt. So that's Predator. I adore this movie. When you think about aliens, to me, it actually is the Xenomorphs and Predator. These two are like big for me. I love them a lot. I think it's so interesting, like what they do and their culture and stuff. Again, I love the language of this film. This is the most like machismo I've ever like felt akin to, like this is where the meme of like the two arms coming together and like just big muscles and like if it bleeds you can kill it. Like come on, dude. Something about it is just like chef's kiss for me. I think it's a classic action movie and a classic alien movie, and it just keeps on getting better. So what do you guys think? I will give it to Alex.
In a surprise to no one, I had not seen this movie either.
What? That actually surprises me.
Really?
This one does surprise me because it's more action funny. Like,
yeah, and I feel like, I don't know, I guess a lot of the moments from this are in the cultural zeitgeist, but you've referenced enough of these like instrumental Arnold quotes from this movie that I was like, oh, he's probably seen it. But no.
Yeah, no, I had no idea that this is where "Get to the Chopper" is from.
Yes.
Like I had no idea. So that was a delightful little surprise. I had a great time. It was a great movie, very fun.
Nice.
Going into it, obviously I knew what the Predator was, right? Like I knew the suit. I didn't know the Predator was like a little bug thing. Like I didn't.
They got the goofy little face. Yeah,
I don't
know
the
that I like
design of the first one. I love Love this
I don't know that I like fully knew that the Predator was an alien.
Huh.
Like I almost
It's
kind of
because
thought it
you
was.
saw the
guy
one where
under there.
you saw the one where he goes to New York and goes off the rails. That's a real movie. Predator ends up in New York, and it's just
Home
like
Alone
Scream
4,
6.
Predator.
Yeah.
Which one
Predator
of my
lost in New
notes.
York.
One of my notes literally is references Home Alone.
Yeah, 'cause
Anyway.
Dutch literally Home Alone.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not about a Boy Scout him. He's about a Home Alone his ass.
Dude. Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna get to like my thoughts, but Matthew, I want to hear your thoughts more before I get to
This movie's a bona fide classic.
Yeah.
So okay, my quick 2 cents. To Jake's point, like this is muscle movie heaven.
It is though, and I understand finally. I finally understand why you bully me to look like my brother. I understand when I watch.
I want it so bad, Jake. It's great. Muscle movie heaven. You got the big brawny guys doing action and hero stuff. However, I also think that it is sort of in spite of how people view like muscle movie, whatever. It is a deceptively smart film.
Yes,
I think there is a lot of really intelligent language and theming going on. And in a weird way, not too dissimilar from some of the recent conversations we had on talking about Barbarian. The idea of being deceptively smart in a somewhat gendered conversation, etc. Yeah, all that. I love this film. It's great.
You get BDSM Predator. What's better than that? His little fishnets? Come on, he's so sexy. Come on.
All the muscle boys should have tried a very different method on the Predator. Exactly. Alex, you want to go ahead and introduce what this is up against?
Yeah, this is up against another Muscle Man movie, Arrival, released in 2016, directed by Denis Villeneuve. This movie follows a muscly Amy Adams, and she's mourning the death of her daughter, and her relationship with Jeremy Renner. And also aliens land on Earth, and she's a linguist and goes to try and decipher their language before we break out into an intergalactic war. And it turns out this is a spoiler.
It's a big one too. This is one of the ones that's like, if you haven't seen Arrival up until this point, it was up for Best Picture. Like when it went, like please watch it before you get this spoiler, because I had to give that out because like it's
no, yeah, for sure. This is a big spoiler. If you have any, like, this movie is, I really like this movie. Like, if you have any interest in watching like a kind of more somber, serious tone movie, I guess not necessarily somber, but like a serious tone movie that's like truly about like humanity and decisions in life, like watch it before listening to this conversation. She finds out that like the alien language is like circular, and it lets you interpret time differently, where you can like experience the future as memories. And it turns out that she like hasn't started her relationship yet with Jeremy Renner and hasn't had a daughter yet. And she kind of uses the future memories in order to like stop humanity from destroying itself. And it's pretty good. And it begs the question of, if you know that something terrible is going to happen, if you do something and experience love and like have a child, would you still have the child? And like, would you still make a decision even if you know like at the end you will be hurt? And I think that's a beautiful question. And that's why I picked this movie. I had a great time. I was in a like writing class in college, and we were talking about like adaptations or something like that, I think. And our professor had us read the short story that this is based off of. And it's a very interesting story. Not exactly similar, but it's adapted from. And so when I eventually then watched the movie, I like had a great time. My wife really liked it. And I thought, this is a good time. It'd be nice to watch this movie again. I think I really like what it ponders and questions about humanity and decisions. So yeah, that's why I picked it. Jake, what'd you think about this one?
I love this movie. As you could probably tell by my impassioned, oh God, please stop. Like, please don't like spoil this movie yet for these people. Like, please give them their due. I think it's a wonderfully written movie, and I think some performances were very like. Anytime a movie, a genre movie specifically, sneaks into the discussion, like to the Academy and stuff, like there's something extra special about it. They should be credited more, but here we go. This movie is like, again, I just think it's very well written. It has one of my favorite uses of Max Richter's On the Nature of Daylight, that score. It's also used in like Shutter Island and like some other projects in art, but this is just like heartbreaking. The song that goes like da, na, 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 whatever. Very beautiful. I think the twist is earned. I think it's like Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner of all people deliver great performances here.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's just a very quietly like beautiful film. I really enjoy how they talk about it. I really enjoy how they approach aliens in again a different way, because you're making all these alien stories. They got to be different. I think it's very, very interesting how they approach Dr. Manhattan's powers, but like with language and with everyone. Because Dr. Manhattan exists in the past, present, and the future at all times. That's his whole shtick. Yeah, very, very cool. I love the talking about time and aliens. Something about that is really cool because time is a social construct that we made. And so seeing how aliens approach it, like people who literally didn't grow up on our culture, but time seems like such a necessity, keep track of, like how other beings keep track of it. So it was a very thoughtful movie for me. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. What do you think, Matthew?
Yeah, so I'd never seen this movie before.
Oh, that's awesome.
However, I had read the short story.
Did you know that this was based off the short story when you started watching it?
No idea.
Wow.
Cool. So there is the scrawlings as I'm about, 30 minutes into the movie being like, this is so weird. This reminds me of that short story. And I felt myself going insane in real time, trying to figure out if this was it's like almost exactly, well, not, broad strokes. It's very, very, very similar. Until, I don't know, partway through, I gave up and I had to look it up. I'm like, is Arrival based on Story of a Life or whatever the title
wait
is?
Until the credits.
Story of Your Life. I literally couldn't because I felt myself going crazy.
That's very fun.
Yeah, it's based on Story of Your Life, and which I love that short story. To the point, sci-fi guy. Sci-fi being used as a means of talking about ways the world could be or ought to be. This idea of teleology is huge in the movie, that things do not matter inherently for the process of them, but as the ends of them. They have like a teleological view of time. They can see things, they see time simultaneously rather than viewing events like sequentially, I guess, or, like they don't perceive time the same way we do. That is so cool. It's such an interesting concept to see explored and also put to film. I think that this was a really interesting adaptation. I think some of the things that they change are in an attempt to like draw more urgency to the plot because it's a movie, and those are okay. Like it's not going to hurt things. I had a really good time with this.
Nice.
That was very good.
I have a really good time with you.
Thank you.
Do you guys think the reason the Predator is so good?
Han Solo'd me. Jesus Christ.
Do you guys think the reason the Predator is so good at hunting people is because it does time in a simultaneous fashion?
No, it's the fishnets.
Oh.
Yeah, that's fair.
Dude, do anything in fishnets. I guarantee you will at least feel like you're doing that task, like at least 12% better.
15% better.
Oh, nice.
The same. Okay, Predator versus Heptapod.
Why are we doing this? These are two very awesome and thoughtful. No, fuck the verses. I'm not doing the verses. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. Fuck your verses. No.
Is this like a heptapod warrior that wants to fight the barbarian?
They don't have warriors. They don't care.
So it's just the Predator shows up and wants to hunt the heptapods.
I'm not doing it.
Honestly, they'd be good prey. They'd be good prey because they're like they know predators coming.
Yeah, but they also don't actively work to stop things. They're not war people. This is a bad versus. I hate this question.
You see what happens is the reason the heptapods came to Earth to warn them in 3,000 years you're going to need to help us. It's because the Predator is showing up. Okay, sorry. We'll get off
Like
it.
you stopped
Getting
Predator
into-
before.
Which is that they tried. That was the plot of Prey. Getting into these movies, I want to talk about a big idea here. It is very clear that Arrival sees itself as an intellectual film. It is a smart movie. It talks about important things. It poses ideas to its audience. And I want to get into Predator, especially on the surface, does not seem to be like a smart film. It's like a, muscle guys, the fight monster movie. But as I said, I firmly believe it is a deceptively smart film. And I want to talk about that.
Can I ask a question?
Go for
Have
it.
you listened to or read any of the interviews with the director of Predator talking about the movie?
I have not.
So
McTeer Man?
he is. So I believe he also did Die Hard.
He did. And Last Action Hero, amongst other films.
So I had a great time with the cinematography of Predator. I don't know if you guys noticed it so much, but the way that, for the most part, the action scenes are filmed, they're very intentional. So that way you always have a really smart idea of the positioning of it. They don't do a lot of in the action sequences static shots from one person to another person. Usually the camera is moving so that way you can get a sense of relation between people. They're in one of the scenes where they're setting up for an ambush, the camera zooms in on someone in the underbrush and then zooms out of focus on that person to show you where another person is in the squad, right? And so the cinematography of it is very, very good and very intentional, and I really enjoyed it.
No, you can tell when a film, especially it's leaning into one aspect of their genre, again, the whole muscle manny, action bro stud dudes, but you can tell when it's made by a filmmaker who cares about their craft and is not just making this big budget movie because they got the big budget and the studio told them to. This is okay, no, we could be silly, but we're gonna do some fun creative shit with it. Down to the shots you're talking about, down to the prosthetics of the Predator, and how they're using infrared POV and that stuff. The sound design I really love. I love the way the Predator sounds. It's one of my favorite. It's just very, very good. Using heartbeats, using it's a fun way to make us feel like the prey as well, and to make us feel like this is a legitimate threat. It's just good filmmaking. I think it's very, very fun.
Yeah, and I think that all of those filmmaking pieces, again, this is where I'm calling that similarity to some of our conversations on Barbarian. I think there's a lot to talk about in relation to the ways we talk about gender and the ways that films tend to portray gender. This is a film that is about big, brawny action heroes. However, it is centrally about disempowering action heroes and sort of, I think, at least personally, calling into question these elements of machismo and what it means to be an action hero. Because the first 2/3 of the movie, first third-ish, sets these guys up as the biggest badasses in the jungle. They can take on any crew. They're just gunning down dudes, have a flawless operation. The middle third is all about disempowering them, picking them off one by one, showing that no matter how the biggest badass dude you are, there's a worse thing out there, a bigger, badder dude or something to that effect. And then finally, this last third where Dutch truly faces off against the Predator. In a lot of ways, it is not through his action hero status or his brawn that he defeats it. It is through deception. It is through his intelligence. It is through a lot of characteristics that we don't always associate with action heroes, with the honorable good dude. I think there is a lot of really smart stuff that Predator is doing. And it's something that I think audiences will be subconsciously aware of. But until you start to really pick away at why are we making these intentional choices to frame these shots this way, to film a movie this way, to do this, to do that, you don't get to, there's this very cool conversation, I think, that you can have about this.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head with the stuff about toxic masculinity not being the answer, and how they very purposely make it very, very, very masculine, like in the beginning. Again, the meme with the two dudes just like broing out,
buff guys throwing their
zooming
hands
in on their
together.
biceps. Like it's like, and you're kind of like, yeah, like you're feeling it, whatever. But the more and more these guys get picked off, it's just like, this ain't gonna save you. And
Jake,
it's,
I know you
Yeah.
joked about it. Do you think the Predator's fishnets are like a non-gender conforming thing? Do you think it's like purposeful that he's in
Oh.
fishnets?
Yeah, there's a lot of readings about this. Like when I also like did some like studies on like sci-fi and stuff about it. A lot of people go as far as to say that until Dutch puts on makeup, aka like the mud, like that's when he's able to actually go toe to toe with the Predator. Makeup obviously being more of like a feminine trait in our society, especially in that time. People talk about the fishnets of like embracing. It's not about how they look. It's about like every other thing. I guarantee the Predator doesn't give a shit he's wearing fishnets and all that. So it's like stuff like that. A lot of people have readings like that. It's very, very interesting and just cool to talk about. And I think again, that's what makes this movie so sneakily good, and that's what makes the Predator, like even as like a franchise, but as an alien, so interesting because their culture surrounding like the hunt and surrounding like the skulls they do, like it's about like a honor system and like just a very, very cool culture, I think, comes with Predator. And I think that's what makes the Predators, especially in their movies as they progress, like, in all the different canon. Most recently, Prey, which was very good, could have easily chose that as well. But it's the culture of these aliens that's like very, very interesting and expanded on, which I think makes a good alien. You got to have a good, like, I don't want it just to be like whatever. What were you going to say?
I think that's actually such a great comparison between these two films as we get into their aliens is not the direct conceit of the like conflict in Predator, definitely a very central piece of Arrival, but ostensibly a big piece of these movies is like an alien culture coming into contact with humanity. In Predator, obviously that is chiefly like this honor-bound warrior sort of archetype. In Arrival, it is, this idea of perceiving the world, time itself very differently. And each movie has a lot to say about, or has some to say about their aliens' respective cultures. Obviously, Predator gets the opportunity to expand on it in some of its sequels. Arrival, it's chiefly just this one captured piece of like what this, one moment in time is a terrible phrase to use for a film like that, but for this one opportunity to display their culture.
Yeah.
And I think that both of them have, even in just what we see in these two movies, aliens that feel otherworldly, but also have realized cultures to some extent. Like the heptapods seem like a extremely well-defined, truly extraterrestrial or like otherworldly creatures. Like their physical design, the way they communicate, like down to the most minute details of like their writing is written simultaneously. Like they know the sentence before they write it, sort of thing. Like every single detail has been so meticulously crafted to display these aliens that feel so, for lack of a better word, alien. And then Predator, we similarly get a very well-defined alien that has its own cultural tendencies that clearly, like, it has to go back for the trophies. It has to finish all of them off. Then, and like once it like recognizes Dutch as a proverbial equal, it's like, I'm stripping the armor and we're going to try to go for it. Like, there is a lot of really cool ideas about this alien culture shown off in very small ways in both of these movies.
Yeah.
And something about like that I like, especially about these two and like alien movies in general, is when it's not just aliens come to Earth, they want to take over the world. It's like neither of these aliens are about taking over or have like, yes, Predator is more of an antagonist, like it will kill versus like the heptapods, like, but it's just killing in that area. Then it's like fucking off. Like it's not going around the world probably.
It's not trying
and,
to wipe out humanity.
No. And I guess like you can make an argument just in the first one where it's like, oh, what if he survived? Like, would he have? No, like in others they expand where it's like this is like a rite of passage and like they like go seek strong warriors and then like move on, sort of a deal. And it's like that's very interesting. And in Arrival, like again, very, very big beings. Everyone's like, oh my god, end of the earth. You send a linguistics professor like to go deal with the problem about war. It's everyone else who blows it up, and humanity who's all like, does this mean we need to go to war? Does this mean war's happening? And the aliens are like, yo, what the fuck? So it's more like, with both of these, more of our, humanity's perspective of like, we cannot handle stuff so alien
so far out
us.
of our scope.
Yeah.
Which is something I think is really cool that the like later movies in the Predator franchise try to tackle, is this idea of like there are ways to like break down these barriers and communicate cross species, like what Amy Adams does in Arrival. Like, she's just trying to communicate with them. She's just trying to understand them. She's trying to meet them at their level.
And in a way, Dutch communicates with the Predator too. It's just they're all about that business. They're about that smoke. When the Predator starts laughing with the bomb, like they're communicating then. Like they know that like this was a fight honored to the death, but Predator's like, all right, little bitch.
You're
here
gonna
we
be
go.
underhanded.
Like,
I'm gonna be underhanded, asshole.
Yeah. It's like it's something really like they communicate as well. It just gets expanded, more nuanced, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse in the sequels.
Predator 2017.
Yeah, let's never talk about that one.
Anyway, I wish we had more time with these movies. I feel like there's like so much possible to talk about with both of them. They're both great.
Two very good movies. I mean, look, this is a powerhouse of a first episode. To have a lot of these are genuinely classics and genuinely good movies. And really awesome like our depictions.
Picks across the whole bracket are pretty fire.
We picked movies that have aliens in them this time, guys. Great job.
We've been doing this for over 100 episodes. We're the best podcasters on the planet.
Yeah,
we finally did it. They all fit the theme.
I think I'm ready to vote if you guys are. I can go first.
I'm not ready, but we have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm less ready, but I'll do it.
Okay. Having not seen the other Predator movies, I think that I have to vote for Arrival here. I think on its own, it does more to make me think about what it would mean to contact aliens and what it would like, what the way that it reflects on humanity to me, and the way that it makes me think about, the world building and culture that these movies establish. I think I get more out of Arrival. So I'm voting for Arrival here.
Really
I can hop in. I'm going to vote for Predator almost for an opposite reasoning, where I feel like in this bracket, the alien bracket, I think I care a bit more about the alien itself in the property that's in it. And I think this alien exudes so much personality. This alien is a blueprint. There's a lot of fun. And the questions that I have are good because it's a movie that makes me think about it like afterwards. It just so happens that it's a franchise now. But I think as a first movie, and how deceptively smart it is dealing with its main alien directly and not just with humanity, I think that as an alien bracket, I gotta vote for Predator here.
You guys put me in a really tough spot.
You're going to have to make the tough cut.
It's really funny how often we do say tough.
Well, when you're Tough Jake.
I'm Tough Jake. That's what it is. I gotta vote for the tough movie. Come on, I'm Tough Jake.
Tough Jake votes for the Big Manly movie.
Muscle movie heaven.
Oh shit, I shot myself in the foot just now.
I can go ahead and vote. Well, Alex, given that, you see time simultaneously, you already know what I'm gonna vote for.
Yeah, it's true. I'm Amy Adams. I'm a
Does that make Matthew Jeremy Renner? Because ooh boy.
Because we have a child together.
Yeah.
And
no, because he has an app.
That's true. The Jeremy Renner app, where you can send Jeremy Renner money
to recover from his snowplow accident.
I'm glad that he's doing better.
Yeah. Okay. Well, back on the the train here. Alex, you already know what I'm voting for, and I'm just gonna have to do it. So I'm gonna vote for Predator here.
I know.
As much as I think your reasoning is incredible, it's muscle movie heaven, baby. Take me to the promised land.
You know, I'm not even mad about it because that means that next episode we get not next episode, in 2 episodes we get Alien versus Predator, which
That's
EVP, baby.
Very
Never say the
funny.
tough cut doesn't have good taste. This bracket really showing off. Like
This bracket goes
we know how to
hard.
pick them.
Bracket
So
goes
with
hard.
that, our semifinal matchup is set. It will be Alien versus Predator. However, next episode we've got 4 more movies coming your way.
Oh yeah,
And
what are
those
they?
They're going to be The Thing versus Starship Troopers, and then Independence Day versus District 9.
Just kidding. I already knew that because I see time simultaneously.
That's true.
I
You already
didn't
know
know.
what wins this bracket.
I didn't know because my
So don't
fucking
spoil it for the
agent-
audience.
My agent
I'll
didn't
never
send me
tell.
It's crazy.
Your agent and
Didn't send them over. Gonna have to fucking watch all these movies on double time because of our rigorous recording schedule.
True, we're constantly recording. We can't be stopped. 106 episodes. With that, if you enjoyed today's episode, please go ahead and rate and review the show on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. Follow us on social media at Tough Cut Pod. We're on all your favorites. And share this episode with someone.
Someone
who's
who.
dis-
Oh, you go.
I was going to say 2 options. Someone who's deceptively smart, or maybe someone who you bounced off of a little bit.
I was gonna say someone who looks great in fishnets.
And if you can get someone who's all 3, aka Matthew,
Wow.
that's
That's true. I am very abrasive in real life.
do not approach this man. If we ever get famous from this, do not approach this man. He will not. You would not like what you see. Don't meet your heroes.
Yeah.
Unless
Yep.
he's wearing fishnets.
I don't. Yep.
Matthew? This is canon, guys. Matt has great legs.
That is